Hello and welcome to your weekly dip into the electric car ocean, brought to you by the team at electrifying.com. This week, we're talking about springs, surfs, and we'll be questioning, when is a Renault 5 not a Renault 5? Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Ginny.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tom.
So I'm going to kick off with some nice news and a thank you to everybody who keeps joining us week after week, because I discovered this week, inadvertently, that we are in the top 5% of podcasts globally. I know.
Really? Well, our version of the Kilowatt Half Hour, there's not a different one somewhere in the States or something.
No, there's not one that actually is half an hour. No.
Okay.
Our incorrectly named Kilowatt Half Hour podcast is in the top 5%, which is amazing. So thank you. And that's literally out of millions of podcasts that they track. So we are very, very happy. So this is a little appeal to help us get into the top 3% or the top 2%. If you can subscribe on your podcast platform, and please do share us far and wide, we would really appreciate it so we can grow more. Perhaps send a link maybe to a friend who is EV curious, who needs putting on the right path for electric cars. That's nice news, isn't it, gang?
It is, yes, amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all of you. So let's get on to the cars then, which is what we're here to talk about. What have we all been driving? Who wants to go first? Mike, I feel like you've been off on a very long trip driving some very fast cars, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been driving the GT versions of the Peugeot E3008 and the E5008. So this is the first time they've become dual motor. So they've got instead of having just the motor in the front, they've got the motor in the back as well. So the 325 brake horsepower winch. And so I've been driving that. I drove an extended drive, as it was advertised to me, in the Black Forest. So I've got a lot of sort of pine air in my lungs.
Does a car like the bigger one, the E5008, need that much power? Because it's a 7-seat family car, and I just think of the thought of Nikki's 3 kids in that, because she's actually about to start running one of those as a long term, and Nikki Shields in a car with that much power and her children in the back seats, and I just would hope they'd have lots of sick bags handy.
Yeah, I think if you've got if you've got 5 kids and like to spend the weekend at the Nürburgring, then it's probably you are that demographic that they're aiming for. I mean, I loved it. I really got. I mean, I like the 5008. I haven't spent a lot of time in one before, and this was the first time I'd spent some. And it's like you say, it's a brilliant family car. There is so much room in that, and on a it's a big car, but it's not an overly large, bloated. You look at it and you think, that's a normal sized car, and they've done a fantastic job packaging everything inside. I do wonder about whether why they're bothered with this version in some respects, because it has the smaller of the 2 batteries. It doesn't have the sort of the 97 kilowatt hour, but it has the smaller, the 73 kilowatt hour battery. So you've got 130 miles less range than the long range has. It's a strange one, really. It's a lovely car to drive, but you do kind of wonder. It's heavy as well. It's 2.3 tons. I was going
to say that the 5008, if it's a 7-seater, and it's got a big battery and it's got 2 motors, once that's loaded, that's going to be getting to needing a new license territory, isn't it?
I do wonder if that is the reason why it has the smaller battery and not the large one. So
okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a lovely, but also the other highlight of this launch, Ginny, was with Mason Finney.
We love Mason,
friend of the show, and he's electric. He's a Kilowatt Half Hour super fan. So, and was quoting bits back to us, and I thought, I don't remember saying that, and he said, "You did." Yeah, it was in episode 43. Oh, okay.
I think we should have a special superfan badge or a superfan T-shirt made up, Mike, that we can send to people like Mason.
Yeah. It was. I mean, if ever we want to remember, when did we discuss, the ENIAC or something like that? I mean, that's every week, obviously. But when did we discuss something or other? Ask him. He's better than any kind of database. He would know exactly when we did everything. So.
Brilliant. So big shout out to Mason. But no, I'm looking forward to. I'd like to drive it. I can imagine in the E3008 that extra punch is really quite nice to have. Nice. Yeah, really nice. But I do hope that that's not the version that Nikki's going to be running, because I don't want to have sick children on our conscience with Nikki Shields.
We're not cleaning that. We're
and I'll clean it. Yeah.
Right. So on the subject of fast EVs, which has been a bit of a theme recently, I drove those the JCW Minis yesterday, the Aceman and the Cooper. I can't talk about it yet because they're all under embargo till next Tuesday on the driving impressions. But yeah, I don't know. We'll come back to it more next week when I can talk about it more. I think electric minis are a thing of joy. I really do. But I'm just going to say that I also think the version with go-kart mode is absolutely brilliant. And I don't know. I just wonder if we're going a bit too far with performance on EVs for the sake of it, rather than Nicola's driving, for example, the EV6 GT this week, which has had some upgrades to that. I can see that. I can see that works. And I can see, the Ioniq 5N and the forthcoming Ioniq 6N. I can kind of see that. But you just kind of think, do we need performance versions of every single EV just because we can? What are your thoughts on that, Tom? I don't know.
Well, I think it's easy, isn't it? So if you have to put in a big V8 engine, that costs a lot of money. If you have to put turbochargers on, it costs a lot of money. But putting in a bigger electric motor in, the cost is, it's not free, but it's minimal, isn't it? You just have to upgrade the cables and
order a different one from the supplier. That's as far as it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, maybe onto a car that I can talk about, because I've been to drive the BYD Dolphin Surf, and I still get really confused about what this car is called, because it's known as the Dolphin Mini in China, where it costs about £8,000. It was going to be known as the Dolphin Seagull, and I think it is in some markets, but here in the UK it's the Dolphin Surf. And I've driven the car and I'm still having to think about that. So, smallest car in the range. It's a massive seller in China, and no wonder at that price. And it won't be any surprises to know that it's not going to be that price when we get it here in the UK. So there'll be two batteries, entry level, about 137 miles of range. That's going to cost sort of 18.5 grand. I think the next level up is interesting because that's got 200 miles of range. It brings it in on a par with entry-level Renault 5s and Instas.
Yeah.
And actually, it's going to undercut those as well. So I think that's going to cost about 21.5 grand for that car, which is a couple of grand less than the Insta and the Renault 5. So I think there's going to be some really interesting tests that we can do with that when we can drive them. But I mean, it was absolutely fine. It's okay. It's fine. It feels much. I know, faint praise.
You're going to work in marketing. It's fine.
It's fine. It feels much more rounded and much more of a proper car than cars like the Leap 203 and the Dacia Spring, which are its official competitor set.
Yeah.
But then if you start to compare it against the Insta and the Renault 5, it doesn't drive anywhere near as nicely as the 5. I don't think it drives as nicely as the Insta because they've really dropped the ball on brake regen. It's got virtually no brake regen in the Dolphin Surf. And I know that one-pedal driving is not a BYD thing. It's not something they do. But you do want some regen, and that just doesn't have it. I mean, going down a hill in it, you're like, okay, it's the foot brake again. Oh, okay, there we go. And that's slightly spongy. And I didn't have a huge amount of time in it because I was driving in the centre of Rome in very busy traffic.
Rome, that's the worst place to launch a car. It really is. It's, I love Rome, but my goodness.
All the shots of it look amazing, though, because obviously we couldn't film in the centre of Rome other than my driving stuff. But they got closed off streets and shot it early in the morning. So there's this beautiful, it's what we call the BRoll, which is all the shots of the car driving, generic stuff. It all looks amazing, but it doesn't cut with anything of me in traffic in Rome getting really cross. But again, it's done that BYD trick of stacks and stacks of kit right across the range, really well equipped. And I think depending on where it sits when we get the monthly finance in, I think it actually will be a really good sort of smaller car if you're after something that's just a bit of a run around. And, it's got decent space, more space in the back than definitely the Renault 5 and also the forthcoming Micro, which we shall talk about in a little while. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. And I just want to give a shout out actually before we move on, because I should have been driving this week the Polestar 3 long range single motor in the UK for the first time and going over to Polestar's headquarters, which they are based at Bicester Motion, which of course has been in the news recently, and spoke to them. They obviously couldn't run a driving event and didn't think it was appropriate. And we've all got loads of mates that work at Vista Motion. It's a real kind of centre for the car industry, isn't it? And for classic cars, and all kinds of brands are there. And I just think from all of us, we want to send our love to everyone who's been affected by that, because it was shocking.
Yeah, it's awful.
So yeah, big love to you all, and I hope you're all doing okay. So should we move on to news stories? Because you and I have both been to see something this week, haven't we, Tom?
We have. Yeah, we both went to see the Micro.
The Renault Micro, as I will now call it.
It left me with mixed feelings. I mean, I'm a big fan of Renault 5s. I'm a big fan of Nissan Micros generally, from sort of historic reasons. And I think that, seen in isolation, if that Micro had been launched last year, we would have gone, this is a brilliant car. But inevitably, because it's based on a Renault 5 and because you can see the Renault 5 bits, we go, well, why would you have one of these over a Renault? And Nissan say, well, there are some people who don't like the way the Renault 5 looks. And we know from our comments that some people don't like the Renault 5, or they don't get the Renault 5 connection. You know, they don't have a emotional connection to the old Renault 5. And therefore, they'll just want a sort of sensible hatchback. And the Micro is that, and it's perfectly nice.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think if you took away the Renault 5, absolutely fine. But there's too similar. I mean, literally, it's not helped by the fact that I'm running a Renault 5. So I just spent hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes in the Renault 5, driving in to the studio in Battersea to see the car. And then got out my Renault 5 and then was like, oh, I'm in a no, it's not a Renault 5. But it is. But it's got the same handles. And from certain angles, the rear 3/4 and the back side, and so the back 2/3, if you take the front off, it just looks like a Renault 5. And they've done some really lazy things on it, which really irritate me. Like, they've left the cock in, which is like, it's still there on the windscreen. There is a cock on the windscreen that shouldn't be there.
Now they have an excuse for this, Ginny.
Should we just explain the cock on the windscreen, just in case you don't know what we're talking about? So the Renault 5 has got loads of brilliant Easter eggs all over it. So tucked into the back seat pocket, if you delve in, is a beautiful little embroidered flap that comes out, and it's got all the previous models of the Renault 5 on. And it's got little French flags around the place, and it's got the French cockerel embossed in various places, and a little Renault 5 in the central island, and then engraved into the windscreen is that little French cockerel. It's a little cock, and it's still there in the Nissan, which shouldn't have been there. But you had a chat about that, Tom, didn't you? So should we?
I had a chat. I pointed it out to the designer, who said that we need to put a picture up if we can of this thing. They said that it's an origami cockerel, and therefore it's combining the French and Japanese together. Which is quite a clever excuse. There's another Easter egg, which I don't think you pointed out in your video as well, Ginny.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. If you look at the charging flap, it's got 2 horizontal lines and then 3 vertical lines. And this mimics the Nissan 300ZX, the original 300ZX tail lights. And the 2 and the 3 in Japanese is Nissan. And so lots of Nissan historical things have 2 and 3 on them. Lots of the racing cars have 2 and 3, because 2 and 3 is the numbers are Nissan in Japanese.
Okay.
So there's another Easter egg.
That's really nice. But I mean, it's basically, the niceness of that is basically cancelled out for me by the fact that it's still got the cock in the windscreen that shouldn't be there. But one thing that is there that it doesn't have on the Renault 5, there's literally one thing. It has paddles on the steering wheel for brake regeneration. Because that's been one of the things that, I mean, I love the Renault 5 to drive, but I would wish it did more with the regen. So it did make me wonder if I presume, because the Renault 5 is going to, the Nissan Micro is going to get that, it will be coming to the Renault 5 as well, I would have thought. Did you chat to anyone about that, Tom, when you were there?
Yeah, Nissan were quite surprised that wasn't on the Renault 5.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But they said, how's it going to work, do you think? Oh, well, they're the same paddles as in a Renault Scenic, so I'd imagine it's going to work in the same way, that it's plus and minus and it gives you more regen, which would be nice. But it's got slightly less range, hasn't it? Like 2 miles less range claimed than the Renault 5. Now, why?
It's not as aerodynamic.
Is that it, or is it heavier? Is it the weight of those Easter eggs? I don't know.
Yeah, I just can't see that. It's quite bulbous and high. It's got a very high line at the front, hasn't it? Because it's almost more kind of mini SUV-ish at the front. And I just reckon that's not as good for aero, would be my suspect. As much as I'd love it to be that Mount Fuji weighs more. I'm not sure that's a thing. Anyway, you can check out that. We've got a review at the website, electrifying.com, and we've got a first look video of that here on the channel as well. So yes, we'll be driving it, but not until September. So it's going to be interesting to see if it feels very different to drive in the Renault 5, because pretty much everything else is the same. What else has been in the news? Mike, you got anything for us?
Well, Renault have built a Renault 4 that everyone seems to like, everyone being so everyone's slightly indifferent about when the Renault 4 that came out a couple of weeks ago. There's a different version, the Savane, and it's going to be an all-wheel drive version. I get told off for saying 4x4 because apparently that's to do with driven wheels and bits and pieces. So we only need to say all-wheel drive apparently, but even they say 4x4, don't they? So it's a concept at the moment, but the idea is it's going to be a dual motor. We don't know a lot of details about it other than the pictures, and it does look really good, doesn't it? I mean, we tend to like slightly kind of soft road kind of car. If I think into the Volvo XC, the cross-country Volvo is always a direct hit, aren't they? We always tend to like those. According to Renault, it's been designed for the modern-day gentleman explorer.
I saw that, and can I
discuss?
Just say,
yes,
literally, my head exploded. Like, the 70s have gone, Renault? That's like quite a while ago, actually. And of course, the Renault 4 was originally quite big in the 70s, but it's a decade we've left behind. What the hell? What the actual hell?
It just means that one of us is going to have to go on the launch. You're not allowed.
It's tough. You're not allowed.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, a lot of that. What? Can anybody let us know what a gentleman explorer is? Or who is a gentleman explorer? Do we know any?
Sounds like a euphemism for something,
It's like
everything does these days.
It's like the worst bit on the Renault. They keep calling it the Renault Micro. Bloody hell! On the Nissan Micro is the welcome wink. Like what? It sounds like something your creepy uncle would do, wouldn't it? So we've got the welcome wink and the gentleman explorer.
The gentleman explorer.
Who's writing this crap for these car makers?
You better explain what the welcome wink. You better explain what the welcome wink is, Ginny, for people who haven't seen the video.
Oh, so it's actually not even that impressive. The creepy welcome wink is that it's got the nice kind of eye-like rounded lights at the front, and it just basically one of them winks at you when you start the car, so it kind of just blinks the light. But which is a nice kind of quite cute thing until you start talking about it being a welcome wink. Ooh.
How many people think they'll go back to the dealer and say this light isn't working when I start up? It comes on afterwards, but it doesn't. Yeah, so they're going to have to explain that. Yeah,
if you combine the welcome wink of that with the noise on the Fiat 500, when you shut it down, it goes.
That's sad.
We can combine what are the spooky features on cars we could make to make the most horrific car possible?
Oh, let us know. Well, for starters, it's going to be aimed at gentlemen explorers. It's going to have the Renault, the Fiat 500s. Yes, the creepy ice cream van. It's going to have a welcome wink. What other creepy bits could we put onto cars?
Well, the BYD Dolphin has that kind of ice cream van. The driving noise, that sort of, they call it the brand noise, but it does sound like that also sounds like it's going to be driven by a sort of creepy clown.
That's true. Yeah, the Leap TO3 had the worst noise. I think I forgot to mention this actually. When you're at low speeds in it and under 20, it's awful. And on a hot day when you just don't want the aircon on, you want the window open, all you can hear when you're crawling along this traffic is this awful, like weird, slightly strange ice cream van noise.
Really?
Yeah, it's not nice. Not nice at all. Back to the Renault Savane, though. I think for balance, we need to say that both Vicky and Nicola love the Renault 4. They really like it.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, but I agree. This one looks sexy. And it really made me think of you, Tom, because it's got a brown interior.
Oh, I do like a brown interior.
You love a brown interior, don't you?
I don't mind a brown. Yeah,
I like a brown interior. Green with brown interior. It's a good combo, that.
It does look really nice inside, yeah. It does look good. So looking forward to seeing that.
Obviously, I'll never see it or drive it or sit in it.
No, we'll tell you what it's like when those gentlemen explorers go out and drive it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I know my place.
Yeah.
Right. What next? Sorry.
Oh, can I tell you about the miniature Wonderland?
If you must.
Is this in the line to the welcome wink and the
no.
Really...
Is it? So this should get you excited, Mike. Miniature Wonderland, if you don't know about it, is the largest model railway in the world. So it's got 1,200 trains and 16 kilometers of tracks. Yeah, so it's fabulous. It's got aeroplanes that take off. You must have seen videos of it. It's brilliant.
Tom, most people have never seen videos of it. Tom, no.
I'm Googling it now.
Do you think you need, Tom? I think you might need to just perhaps get out a little
come on,
more.
this is exciting stuff. It's like enormous.
Let us know in the comments below if you have any idea what Tom is talking about, and if you have seen the videos of it, because apparently most of you should have. So drop us an email, podcast@electrifying.com, or in the comments below. So come on.
It's got an airport and all sorts of things. Anyway, their smallest
it's not real
moving vehicle has now been introduced, and it's an ID Buzz, and it looks just like yours, Mike. But it's so small, it's like an autonomous driving car that recharges. It's the world's smallest electric car. But because they couldn't fit all the hardware in, they had to give it a caravan. So they've got this ID Buzz driving around with a caravan around the town of this miniature railway.
Where is this place?
It goes by in Hamburg.
Oh, okay. I found one, but it's in it's in the wrong place. It's in Australia, the one I've found. Okay. So okay.
Yeah, Tom goes there quite a lot for his holidays. He loves it.
I think we should have a road trip. I think we should do our gentleman exploring in the Renault 4 to go and see the ID Buzz or you should attach a caravan to your ID Buzz, and we can go and have a look at it, Mike.
When you're the height I am, everything's a miniature world, to be honest with you. But yes.
I don't know what to do with that. Anyway,
but it actually recharges. There's an actual electric car that autonomously drives around the thing and then goes in, and the wing mirrors on this little tiny electric car are the charging ports. So it goes in, charges itself, and then sets off again on this little route.
What's the scale? Cute. What is it like when you say miniature? Like I'm thinking dinky car. Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's slightly smaller than that. I don't know what the scale is. Somebody will, but I mean it's teeny. Absolutely teeny.
There is a news story over on electrifying.com all about that if you want to find out more, because Tom's written it, haven't you, Tom?
Not quite yet.
But I can see it now. Yeah.
1/87, 1/87 scale. That's tiny.
Okay.
That's really small.
I do like it. It's very cute. And in fact, actually not far from me, there is a very sweet miniature town, which makes me very happy. So maybe I should be kinder to you on that. Oh dear, okie doke. So let's move on to just say a little thank you to our partner of this episode, because this episode of the Kilowatt Half Hour is brought to you with the help of Anderson EV. If you're into design as much as you are electric cars, you will love their home chargers.
Anderson's A2 and A3 aren't just functional, they're beautifully made with a choice of 200 colours and finishes, so they can blend in with your home or be made to match your car.
And no bulky boxes, just smart tech that looks great and works. You can find them at anderson-ev.com.
Brilliant. Now, what's your Barnard's bargain? Come on, Tom, sock it to us.
Well, I've got one that's a used car. Well, it's not used, actually. So there is a company, one of the dealers, who is throwing out Dacia Springs with delivery mileage. They're pre-registered, but delivery mileage for $9,995.
What?
So under £10,000 for a brand new car. Now, if you imagine all the BYDs and that sort of thing, that's how are they going to compete with that? I mean, it is the 45, but if you just need a car to go to the station or the shops, so it's £111 a month on a PCP. Blimey. So I mean, there are people who pay more for their Sky subscriptions than that. Yeah.
Wow.
£111. Just imagine. I mean, how can you drive? 111. If you put £100 worth of petrol in your car a month and use it to go to the station, you can have a brand new car for 11 quid a month. And it's nuts.
That's absolutely insane. And it's actually, I know I as a little runaround like that, I think the Spring works really well, and I think it's quite a cute looking car as well. Yeah. It's certainly, in terms of the design of the cars around in that bracket, it's certainly one of the nicest looking ones. That's an absolute steal.
And the other one that's interesting at the moment is Tesla. discounting Model 3s on leases. So they're about £300 a month now on the lease for the usual. I know it's cheap. Do you know what they've done with the colours as well on the Model 3? It's quite interesting.
They've done something to bring it under the 40k mark, haven't they?
Well, they have, but I think it's deeper than that, because it used to be that white was the only free colour, and all the others were quite expensive. They were like £1,200 and 2,000.
Yeah, if you wanted red, it was £2,000.
Yeah. And I think this was hurting their residual value. So the resale values were being hurt because nobody wanted the white ones, and the white ones were worth less. But of course, if you're a computer, you don't pay any attention to what colour the car is. You just look at the values. So the residual value setters were saying you need a better mix of colours. So what Tesla have done is white is now a £1,200 option to discourage people from having it, and they've made grey the free colour to try and get some grey ones in there, a little bit of variety.
Great.
Oh, that's like a rock and a hard place, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you want a grey Tesla or a white one?
That's like choosing which bit of furniture you want to stub your toe on, isn't it? That is,
Okie doke. Good price, though. So let's move on to all your comments and questions. We had a really busy post bag. Don't forget, it is electrifying, podcast at electrifying.com if you want to email us, or you can leave a comment in the comments below. Let's start off with to welcome to the world of electrics. So this is the kind of email that makes me really happy when we get it in. It came in from Chris C. I've been on your website for many months now. I've watched endless road tests on many electric vehicles and read numerous articles, and they are extremely good too. Thank you. I have to admit to being an EV skeptic prior to that, but you've all sold me. Thanks to your review of the new MG S5 EV, I took delivery of the new model last Friday, and I love it to bits, even though so far it's only been back and forth to Sainsbury's 4 times. So it's fine, whatever rocks your boat. Thanks, Nicola, for the great review, which was highly entertaining too. So welcome to the world of electric, Chris. I'm sure, like many people say, you just won't go back, because that's the one thing that we hear is once you try an electric car, you do get hooked. And we've had another one, haven't we, Mike? It's not a first welcome to electric.
Nev says, hi, I picked up my Hyundai, Insta. Hooray. It's not my first EV, but I still need and welcome the advice and information from Electrifying. Like many folks, I wanted a small, efficient EV with a decent range that did not cost the earth. I was heading towards a Renault 5, but swerved towards the Insta. Your recent comparison video between the two is great. Ordered in December, UK delivery cars were delayed a little bit, but they're here now. Shout out to the excellent Chorley Group. And thanks once again. So there we go. Insta owner.
Brilliant. Yeah. And Nev and I exchanged a few emails on the whole.
That's good.
Would he, won't he? Renault 5 or Insta last autumn. So I'm glad you're happy with your choice. And as we say, brilliant news to hear the Chorley Group going above and beyond there. So yeah, we always love that.
Not the first time we've heard that, so that's good. Yeah,
it's true. Actually, we've had a couple of emails in about there, haven't we?
That name rings a bell, and I'm sure it's always been positives. Yeah, so
it does. And do let us know that if you've had a really brilliant experience buying your electric car from either a used dealer or a new one. Let us know, and we'll give them a shout out on the podcast. Okay, what else we got, Tom?
We have a question from Eric Dixon, who says, in your last podcast, Ginny said rapid charging all the time was bad for the battery, but I can't charge at home ever. I have a Hyundai 20. I love it, but I was hoping to get an Insta or Renault 4. I don't like the 5. Thinking it would be okay to charge it once a week to 90%. There's no on-street charging in West Yorkshire, so if 35% of the people who can't charge at home we're not allowed electric cars, help, please. I think I've charged in West Yorkshire on the street. So I think there is some, but I get the point that probably not near his house. This is interesting. I think it's when we say fast charging isn't good for the battery, if you've got a car which has just been fast charged, especially if it's warmer outside, it's not the best for the battery, but it's not going to kill it in a year. It's just going to be not as good as charging it at home slowly. So it's a bit like doing lots of short journeys in a petrol car isn't good for that engine compared to lots of motorway miles, but it's still going to be okay. It's just not as good.
It's certainly not enough to stress about, Eric, and I think it's more just about what you see in terms of slight deterioration on the long-term range. But again, it's not. I definitely don't worry about it too much. And out of those two, which would you go for, gang? Would you get the Insta or the Renault 4? I haven't driven the Renault 4 yet.
I think I'll probably get a Renault 4. It seems like more of a car. I don't. The Insta's not terribly made, but we've had that discussion, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. Okay. Oh, let us know as well, Eric, which you decide for, which you go for. And okay, Brian Walter has emailed in, "Hi, Electrifying team. I've owned a Peugeot E2008 for nearly 2 years. Always charge from my Wallbox home charger using a cheap overnight tariff. I usually try to charge to 80% of the maximum range in order to protect the battery. But I was recently asked if you should charge to 80% of the usable battery capacity or 80% of the gross battery capacity. I didn't know the answer. Can you advise me? Do we know the answer?
I think the difference between the two of them is fairly negligible,
negligible,
anyway,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the usable is the only thing we can measure, isn't it? Because we don't really know the other bits. The other bits are hidden away and they're part of the buffer.
But some do quote that, don't they?
They quote it, but as far all you can use as an electric car owner is the usable, hence the name. So it's almost irrelevant. So 80% does apply to the usable.
And what you see on the gauge will be usable, won't it? Yeah.
When it says it's 100%, that's the 100% of the usable rather than 100% of the gross, if you know what I mean.
Okie doke. What else have we got, Mike?
We've got Leanne Wright from Liverpool. And she says, "Hi, little note about car apps. I've had a Fiat 500e and currently have a Fiat 600e. Now, the app is the same, but the features are very different. The 500e had lots of great features, such as scoring your driving. And there were loads of little functions that I use on a daily basis. When I ordered the 600e, the dealers transferred all my app details to the new car, but I instantly saw there were lots of features missing. It currently shows my car at a location I was in yesterday, and you can only refresh the battery charging level when it's charging. Otherwise, it shows the level last updated. I hardly ever use the app anymore, which I do miss. Love the podcast. Keep the videos coming." I said, "I love directing fellow Motability users to your channel." So, Leanne, thank you for that. Now, the 500e is an odd one. It's like the only child of the Stellantis group. The 500e was built, designed and built before Stellantis was a thing. It was under FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automotive. So that car shares its platform with no other car, which is unusual in the Stellantis group, because the 600e is half a dozen of them. The Avenger, all kinds of things. So I'm guessing that those are features that are inherent in the 500e that Stellantis hasn't introduced in other cars within that range. So that's why they were kind of unique to the 500. And obviously, I mentioned that's an app developer's nightmare. You've got one car on one platform and one car on another, but they've all got to have the same app. So the boring answer, boring myself here, is the fact that the 500e is different. So it will have different features on it. And I wouldn't expect, unfortunately, those to appear on 600. It may be that someone says, in future generations, everybody misses those things on the 500, let's introduce them. But I think that generally they take the easiest route to market with these things. So the fewer features, the better. So it's sad to hear. It
is. And it's interesting that one of the great features that you like is the scoring your driving. And I love that. Do you remember it's the i3, isn't it, that you get the little...
No, it's the Leaf.
The Leaf, you get the trees in the early... I found that, and it does make you want. Well, if you're competitive like me, it helps with your scoring. But I do like it. There's quite a lot of cars at the moment will tell you what your efficiency has been like and whether your driving style has been good, bad, or indifferent. I like that. Okie doke, Tom. It's a really long email, this, but I thought it was an interesting one to include.
I might paraphrase it.
You paraphrase it. Go on, but it's interesting.
This is from Paul Roberts, who says, "I've enjoyed your half-hour podcast YouTube for a while now. Based in Japan, a lot of the car reviews aren't relevant, but they're interesting nonetheless. I have today bought an EV that isn't available in the UK. It's a Nissan Sakura, which is a K car. Wow. New was beyond my budget, so I bought a 3-year-old with 5,650 kilometres on the clock, which is nothing, is it? It's 3,000 miles or something. It's got 150 kilometre real-world range, so about 90 miles, I suppose, and it was £7,400 in equivalent yen. I drove it home 111 kilometres, went to a Nissan dealer to top up 30 minutes later. Wish this car was available in the UK. It really is something. The interior is huge. I'm 5'10". Rear seat space with my driving seat set to maximum comfort is more than capable of taking someone to 6 foot. Interior's great. Talk to Nissan and get them to make it available in the UK. It's a perfect city car, which is good enough to make the occasional long drive with careful planning. Now, I can answer this and say why K cars don't work in the UK. So a K car, in case people don't know, is in Japan, there are lots of tax benefits, and you don't have to have a parking space if you have a car which is restricted to 660cc. If it's a petrol or electric, there's just the power that's restricted. And it's restricted in width and length. Now, the height isn't restricted, so you see lots of these things which look like they're on the wrong setting on your pictures, or like you should be wearing a top hat. Now, some of those have come to the UK, some of those K cars. So there was a Daihatsu Move, if you remember that was really tall and a bit silly. Lots of other Daihatsus were like that as well. There were a couple of Suzukis, but they are very odd shape. They're quite high tech because the Japanese like to be high tech, and they'll just throw everything at these things. So you do turbo, 4-wheel drive, all these other things. But they only work if the exchange rate is good, because otherwise nobody's going to buy a tiny car that's £20,000. It's just not going to work. Yeah. And also the British love for very odd looking boxy cars is quite limited. So Nissan did bring in the Cube, if you remember that.
I love the Cube. There's one always parked around the corner from me, and I'm so fond of it. Obviously, it's always parked on the main road.
Well, we had a Cube for a while, and we got a bit bored, or my wife did, with people using it as a bit of a landmark. So people would say, turn left at the funny car that looks like a fridge, and then go down. Sometimes you don't want to be seen all the time as a sort of landmark. So there is a limited demand for cars that look a bit weird and are very narrow, and they're quite expensive to come to the UK. So that's why it's not going to come.
Okay.
On that slight subject, Nissan's still doing that deal with Silence, in so much selling that, the removable battery city car thing. I've just looked it up, and it is still a thing. It's the website's up anyway. But that was when I saw great fanfare about that, and then I've heard absolutely nothing.
It is coming. We've actually had invites to drive that. They're just coming this week, but actually I've already driven it. So
yes, that's what I thought.
I drove that a year ago, and they are apparently going to be bringing it into the UK. It is imminent, and it's a good little carve up, but it was too much money. From memory, it was like 15,000.
It was kind of spring money, wasn't it?
Just doesn't. Yeah. I mean, but it's an interesting solution, I think. If you do, you don't have off-street parking, but you want something just to do local runs, because that battery that you can take out and bring inside and just charge, it comes with 2 batteries. I think it's very clever. So we'll update you all on that. Okay, let's move on to just some of your random comments. And we were talking about epic fails, weren't we, on the podcast last week, which was based around Mercedes and some, charging speeds that it can't quite reach. What other epic fails did you send in to us? Tom, what you got?
So Miss Reb 1 has quite a long list. So Kia EV3 with a heat pump option only on the top model. Tesla Model 3 with no indicator stalks. i4 with no frunk, despite the massive front of the car. VW Group silly window buttons. Yeah, I'll get that.
Yes.
Volvo screwing their software design, in spite of it being based on Android Auto.
Yeah.
And Ioniq 6 not actually being that efficient, despite having that aerodynamic outside.
Yeah, this is true.
Stephen Muddle had a good one. So the Toyota BZ4X being recalled, do not drive so soon after the UK launch, because the rest of the wheels had come off. I'd forgotten about that too.
It took them like 6 months to fix, didn't it?
Ages. And interesting, because Stephen had one on order, cancelled it, and went for a Renault Megane instead. And I wonder how many orders they lost because of that. You got an epic fail for us, Mike?
Yeah, Ross Mallin says, epic fail, lack of heated seats as standard on a Genesis GV60 Premium 2020. Premium 2022, premium brand, with a high spec, but decided to skip heated seats as standard. They clearly realised this was a mistake, as they changed the base spec car next year to include heated seats. I mean, that's a basic now, isn't it? Heated seats, especially in an EV.
Yeah,
heat and steering wheel. I think it's, unforgivable, to be honest, but there we go.
That's the thing we don't know yet about the Nissan, isn't it? Whether only the top spec Nissan Micro will get the heated seats, as with the Renault. Be interesting to see what they do with that. I think this one's for you, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah. Richard Gore 2000 said, epic car fail, getting my wife to agree to clean her car. After 12 months, I gave up and cleaned it myself.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm moving swiftly on.
I think we'll file that under Gentleman Explorer. Discuss. Yeah.
Let's move on now to app recommendations, because we've been talking again last week about what you and Vicky talked about the week before, Mike, which was why it can be hard for us to test the apps. So we asked for people who, let us know what you think if the app in your car is great, because actually you guys are spending a lot more time using them than we ever get the chance to. And his Stan from Kangaroo Island got in touch.
He's another super fan, isn't he? He'll get a T-shirt too, wouldn't he?
Friend of the show.
So we're going to get T-shirts done for Stan, for Mason. We'll have to get some super fan electrifying.
Yeah.
Kilowatt Half Hour super fan T-shirts.
Anyway, he says, I can confirm the Polestar 2 app is now really good. And he loves his rear-wheel drive Polestar 2. It's just clocked over 44,000 kilometres, done a full lap of Australia in 4 weeks. Wow. So, it's obviously been upgraded. That's rather than the Fiat 500 one, which seemed to be downgraded, the Polestar app's been upgraded.
Any more app recommendations?
Yeah, I've got June Plodder says re-apps. I'm fairly happy. That's a faint praise, isn't it? Fairly happy with the Kia Connect app. I wouldn't say it was intuitive, but it reliably does what it's supposed to. I have to guess something like that's all you can ask for, isn't it?
PS, yeah.
Thanks for reading out my comment from last week. Oh, there you go. You have to send this another message saying thank you for this week. I use the Hyundai Blue Link app. Why it's called Blue Link? I've never quite worked out. But I would say that's a pretty. I imagine it's the same app because Kia and Honda would be the same thing. And that's a pretty good report, actually. As I say, it was serviceable. It was fine. It was
serviceable.
Yeah, so that sounds about right.
And then more on that chat we had about, does driving an electric car make you a better driver because of things like brake regeneration? And I think Jaw OLF is also a regular. It just seems familiar, doesn't it? I think
it is. Yeah.
It is. Since first getting an EV 4 years ago, I found that I've stopped rushing my drive as much. Much of this is due to adaptive cruise control that comes as standard on most EVs. My Tesla Model 3 is also making it even easier. The system slows for corners and the basic autopilot is very good and keeps improving. I do still enjoy accelerating every so often, but make use of the automatic system. Always enjoy watching the podcast. Thank you. Okay, and then we're going to end with a couple of cars that we need to get into record podcasts in, because we were, it looked great. What did you record it in a couple of weeks ago, Mike? What were you in?
We were in the Tatascan.
The
Tatascan.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of suggestions in for cars that we can record podcasts in, and I like this one.
I'm glad you said that, because I've got to read this name out. It's Sonsnichtzutten 1383. You know who you are. It says, please record in a Rolls-Royce Spectre. Now, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
I'm going to make that happen.
Have to climb into the back seats, but I think we would. Yeah, that would be. Be very nice.
This next one is maybe a little easier. We're going to end with World of Cars London, who I think is also another regular. Get everyone in Mike's ID Buzz to record an episode, and we haven't done that yet, so we must do that. Maybe try and do a group one. That'll be chaos, won't it? Mike's not happy. You're not happy.
No, I suppose if it's a work thing, it becomes tax deductible. So yes, okay, let's do it.
Oh dear, and that just about wraps it up for this week. So I think thanks once again for putting us in the top 5% of podcasts. So even if you watch on YouTube, if you could head over to your podcast platform and subscribe, we would really appreciate it. And if you are listening on your podcast platform, don't forget that you can also head over to YouTube and watch all our videos that we get live all the time, with reviews, all kinds of stuff going up there. First drives, first looks. And on that note, we shall say goodbye until next week. Keep your comments coming, everyone.
Indeed. Bye.
Bye.